Thank you for joining us for this first episode of our new show, One on One, where we dive deeper into the pressing issues of our time and talk with the county leaders driving solutions. In this episode, we examine the humanitarian crisis of homelessness. We are here at a location in South Los Angeles that until recently housed a large homeless encampment. But thanks to the county's encampment resolution called Pathway Home, sites like this one are being cleared and residents offered housing with supportive services.
On any given night, tens of thousands of people can be found living on the streets in LA County. The 2023 Greater Los Angeles homeless count showed a 9% rise in homelessness in Los Angeles County, with more than 75,000 people now experiencing homelessness. Many have called LA County the epicenter of the homelessness crisis, accounting for about a quarter of the state's homeless population. Cheri Todoroff, a veteran county administrator who leads the homeless initiative, is leading the charge to bring our homeless neighbors indoors, with help from Measure H, the voter-approved sales tax passed in 2017. The county's intensified efforts under a local emergency declaration include Pathway Home, a major expansion of ongoing efforts to resolve encampments countywide, and the creation of more interim housing sites.
Thank you so much for joining us in this wonderful location called Safe Landing here in South Los Angeles.
Thank you so much for having me here today.
In January, the Board of Supervisors proclaimed a local emergency for homelessness and approved $600 million in funding. It's actually the largest investment in any given time frame to address homelessness. So where is the money going?
So the vast majority of the funding is going into housing, into interim housing, places like this location here, Safe Landing, and into permanent housing as well, where people can go back inside, have their own homes. Some of the money is also going into outreach. That's another big category, because what we need to do is engage people who are experiencing homelessness, who are unsheltered. We have outreach teams who do that. They are multidisciplinary. They have clinicians on them as well. They have nurses and mental health counselors and substance use counselors and peers. They are out on the streets every day, engaging clients and starting them on that pathway into housing, bringing them inside to a location such as this, and then helping them move from here into their own apartment or home. Almost all of that funding is going to our homeless services providers. So these are like nonprofit, community-based organizations in every city, in every community. They are their staff who are out there in the streets, engaging clients. They are operating shelters such as this.
Talk to us a little bit more about Safe Landing.
This is a very special location. It is an interim housing site that has a lot of services embedded. It's very unique and the first of its kind in our county, as we are able to receive clients 24/7 here. I was here when this was a big dirt field. There was nothing here. Now it is this amazing site that provides interim housing for hundreds of people every year. It has an on-site medical clinic. It has mental health services, healing, outdoor space. It has residential buildings for people to sleep and go inside. So people who are experiencing homelessness and on the streets in this community are able to come inside.
This is a model that could be replicated, right, to address the holistic problem and crisis that homelessness entails.
It absolutely is, because it has all of those services and because we can serve the community 24/7. We are actually looking to expand this model regionally throughout the county so every community has something similar.
Currently, Safe Landing has 172 beds that offer shelter and short-term bridge housing in the West Athens neighborhood of South Los Angeles, but there are still tens of thousands of unhoused needing shelter.
Beyond the money, what does the local emergency for homelessness actually mean?
With the local emergency declaration, the Board of Supervisors adopted 3 missions that we are focusing on. One is encampment resolution, the other is housing, and then the third is mental health and substance use services. What the board has also done is they have given delegated authority to county departments to be able to expedite hiring and contracting and purchasing and granting certain real estate transactions.
We know that some cities have not been very receptive to having, new homeless housing in their boundaries.
Local communities don't always realize the quality of the housing that is developed. They actually enhance the neighborhood. They are properties that help increase property values. They come with wraparound services, so the clients who are housed inside are getting a lot of support. There's a lot of stability that is created within that community and that neighborhood. That motel may have been a nuisance motel in that community. When we renovate it, turn it into permanent housing, it's beautiful space, it's healthy space, and it actually serves the neighborhood.
1/3 of the homeless population in the entire nation is here in LA County. How did we become the epicenter of homelessness?
One, we're a very large county, and so just proportionately we'll have more people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles County. But also we have a housing crisis and a housing affordability crisis here. And so we are about 500,000 units short of affordable housing that we need in this county. You have to earn more than 2 times the minimum wage in order to be able to afford the most basic apartment. A large number of our residents in this county are living paycheck to paycheck. Car problem, a health scare, a loss of a job, and that housing stability is gone and people lose their housing.
I also want to talk about Measure H, which is a sales tax to fund services to end homelessness that was passed by the voters 5 years ago. So it's been 5 years. What can you tell us about how Measure H has made an impact?
Measure H has contributed greatly to helping the crisis. Over the course of Measure H, over 120,000 people have been served in interim housing. Over 90,000 people have moved into permanent housing. We've prevented homelessness for tens of thousands of people. At the same time, it's not enough. It's clear we have very high numbers of people experiencing homelessness. We need to do more. We need to use our resources more effectively. And we need to use this emergency declaration to align all of our resources, Measure H and other resources in our county departments, to really accelerate bringing people inside.
Taxpayers are saying, okay, we're giving so much money for homeless initiatives, for homeless services. Why do we still see encampments and so many homeless on the streets? How do you answer that?
So we still have encampments and we have people who are in shelter because we don't have enough permanent housing. We have 25,000 shelter beds in this county. What happens are people are spending extended periods of time in our shelter because we don't have enough exits to permanent housing. So we just have a housing crisis.
If nobody became homeless as of today or as of any given day, the homelessness crisis would end within 3 years. Is that correct?
That is correct. And that is such a hopeful thought. But also very challenging. We have more people falling into homelessness each day than the number of people that were able to get housed again. Approximately 220 people become homeless every day, and about 200 go inside. So we are continuing to have more inflow into homelessness than we are able to help back into housing.
How would you respond to some people that say, you're providing so many services, you're going to attract more homeless to our county?
When we do the homeless count, one of the things we look at is where people were housed before they became homeless. And what we have found is a vast majority of people were in the county when they became homeless. They were like in the communities, in the neighborhoods, in the cities that they're in. That is where they lived before they became homeless.
How do you navigate the rights of homeless residents and the rights of families that just want to go to the park and not see tents or take a walk in their neighborhood and not have safety concerns for their children?
This is an area where we can partner with cities and we can make that difference for all of the communities. We are getting ready to really scale up our encampment resolution efforts, and we're going to do that in partnership with local cities.
As part of the county's accelerated efforts to combat the homelessness crisis through an emergency declaration, officials have begun clearing homeless encampments and offering housing to those who will accept it. The effort, called Pathway Home, is seen as a pivotal step to cleaning up civic spaces and bringing homeless residents indoors.
We will be able to help people come inside and to resolve those encampments within those communities and neighborhoods, and that will benefit all of the residents in those areas.
Do you think this could ever be solved completely?
We will continue to have people fall into homelessness, but what we want is for that to be brief and one time, and to help people come back inside as quickly as possible.
Cheri, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us so much insight on the efforts being made to end the homeless crisis in LA County. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on One on One.